So you're thinking about moving to Leavenworth, Kansas? Well, great news. In this video, we're going to be talking all about Leavenworth, Kansas. We're going to be taking a look at the map so you can see how to get around and see where it is in relationship to everything. And if you stick around to the end, we're going to show you the ending. Hey, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Kansas City and the surrounding area, places like Leavenworth, Kansas, then click subscribe, hit that little bell for notifications so you can be the first to know of the current market right here in the KC metro area. My name is Zach Morton. My business partner Max Jones, the Mojo real estate team, and I have been helping families move to Kansas City for over 20 years. We absolutely love it, but you don't have to take our words for it. See what our clients have to say with over 600 5-star Google reviews from people just like you. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, just pick up that phone, you can give us a call, shoot us a text, drop us an email, even schedule a Zoom. All that contact information is in the description below so we can connect with you and talk to you about your goals and help you with that seamless transition into your new neighborhood. So today we're on Leavenworth, so let's get started. Let's take a look at the map. I've got it pulled up here, and to start with showing you where it is in relationship to Kansas City. So I'm going to grab my handy pen tool. We've got Kansas City, as you can see, is this lighter area right here. Now, I like to start these videos off. This may be your first time or not, so we're just going to go quick. There's a Kansas City, Kansas, a Kansas City, Missouri, and this little river right here, you can see it runs right by Leavenworth, goes all the way through Kansas City. Well, right about here in the middle, the state line decides to follow a straight line instead of the river. So everything over here is Kansas, and everything on this side, including north and south of that river, is Missouri. And then there's a north of the river and a south of the river. So if you're coming to this area and you hear some of that lingo, that's just lingo in here. I live north of the river, I live south of the river, I'm on the Kansas side, I'm on the Missouri side, but there's a Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, and it's a constant debate, and I love it when we go to, when we're downtown and you're going to some of the concerts, and somebody gets on stage and they're like, "Hello, Kansas!" and half the crowd boos and half the crowd cheers because it's Kansas City. So when you're talking about, we refer to Kansas City more than we do Kansas or Missouri. It's not really a state thing here, it's more of a city thing. So anyway, we'll keep going here. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. So this is the city as a whole. Leavenworth does lie on the Kansas side. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. On the northwest side of Kansas City, which is out here. Now, I always describe this, and we've got a vlog video on this. We go around and look at houses, and we're downtown. So if you want to get more details and see what it looks like on the streets from that perspective, check out our vlog. But as you can see, I call it like a density island. It's just way out here, not way out, but you've just got this little dense population that's not really connected. Usually as the city grows, you know, it kind of just, it spreads from the center. But this particular city, which is the oldest city in Kansas, I might add, just kind of just did its own thing out here all by itself. So that's what kind of makes it interesting and puts it out there, kind of gives that country vibe, kind of that small town feel. But it's actually a pretty sizable town, and as we continue to zoom in and talk more about that, I think you'll see exactly why. So let me clear this up. All right, so it lies on the north side of Kansas City, obviously, and just to point out some things that it's close to right out of the gate is you have the Kansas City Airport, the international airport, is on the Missouri side up in the Northland. So as you can see, it's one of the closest places to the Kansas City Airport. There is several ways to get there. None of these are great roads. I will point out these are more country kind of back roads without shoulders. They take pretty good care of their roads. They're not full of potholes and stuff. Well, maybe 45 is kind of a rough one down in the river bottoms. But for the most part, just if you are traveling a lot to the airport, if you are in the military, we'll get into that. We've got Fort Leavenworth, they have their own airport out there. But if you are traveling a lot to Leavenworth, from Leavenworth to the airport, it's just something you need to know. Check out some of those times. You can get on Google during certain traffic hours, but in general, you're 15, 20, 25 minutes, you're gonna be at the airport, no problem. And that's just if you get stuck behind a tractor. Every once in a while, there's a lot of farmland right out in here. Every once in a while, you'll be heading down this road, and there'll be a combine or a tractor that you have to share the road with. And you can't always pass them on some of these country roads because it's up and down hills. Even though they are highway speeds, it's, you know, it's not safe to pass. So you will run into that from time to time. But if you're just kind of hanging out in Leavenworth and not going back and forth to the airport or to Platte City a whole lot, then it's really not going to affect you that much. Just something I like to point out, because when I go to Leavenworth, I have to deal with that because I'm over here on this side. So point that out real quick. But other than that, it's a beautiful drive. It's through the country. Driving to Leavenworth is nice and relaxing and beautiful, especially in the fall. You've got these big bluffs, because coming down 45 right here, this is all pretty much river bottoms. As you can see, the river kind of went back and forth through here, and so it's really flat, and everything coming up on this side is kind of a bluff, and then it'll get kind of a bluff over here too when it comes up out of Leavenworth. But beautiful in the fall. We've got oak trees, a lot of the hardwood trees that'll turn you get your yellows, your oranges, your maple trees. So it's a beautiful drive in the fall. And in fact, a lot of people right around on this road right here, there's a place called the Red Barn Farm and a couple other farms off of these highways between Platte City and Leavenworth that people will frequent in the fall. There's because they have pumpkin patches and all that stuff to go out and take family photos. It's a farm that has, you know, little petting zoos and all that kind of stuff. It is an operational farm, but you hop on the hay wagon and go out to the pumpkin patch, and just a lot of fond memories up in this area. Taking the kids over the years, picking up pumpkins, going out to apple orchards and doing all that kind of stuff. So a lot of fun activities in between Leavenworth and Platte City, or Leavenworth and the airport, just to touch on that. So let me clean up my scribbles, and we'll continue to zoom on in a little bit. You can see probably your closest lake is, you have Smithville for fun stuff, and then you've got over here out in Kansas, and this one is, I think it's Prairie Lake. Nope, that's not one of the big lakes. We've got Clinton Lake down here. I'm just going to point out a couple lakes. So this is, what is this lake? Yeah, Perry Lake, I was right. So Perry Lake. So those will be kind of your public lakes. If you're a lake person you want to get to, those are your big public access lakes. So anyway, let's move in on Leavenworth real quick. As you can see, it doesn't look huge on the map. In fact, this is 24, let me see my notes here, 24 square miles, yeah, 24.4 square miles is the city of Leavenworth. So pretty small. And then Fort Leavenworth, so as I said, Leavenworth is the oldest city in Kansas. It's also the furthest to the east. So as the settlers were coming out and working their way west, they were getting, you know, nailed by Indians and all kinds of things on the trail. So this fort was set up to protect the travelers on the trail. So that dates back way back to the beginning. In fact, one of the oldest buildings in Kansas is right there in Fort Leavenworth to this day. So pretty cool, but that's why the fort is. Now the fort property basically runs right up to this river, and it's almost half the size of Leavenworth. So that is important, because when you check out our vlog and some other things, this is a very large military town. In fact, that's how it started out. So you will see a lot of military personnel. There's a big base there and a lot of things that go with that. Now, I will say Fort Leavenworth is kind of the intellectual center, they call it, for the Army. So a lot of people are coming through town because they're going there to get an education. So it's kind of transient. People come in for 2-4 years, and then they're out again onto their next, not mission, what's the word I'm looking for? Their next orders. So they'll be in, they'll be out, a lot of nice families. God bless the military folks. I love you, America, best country ever. So everybody gives them a lot of respect. In fact, you'll see signs in front of stores that say veteran parking. So a huge military town, and you'll see people in camo walking around all day long. See them driving down the streets. You can't miss it. So point that out. So the town of Leavenworth itself, though, you've got, as we continue to zoom in, is 24 square miles with a population of, they are right at 37,000 people. So that's a lot of people to fit in 24 square miles. So pretty small area, but I do want to show you guys, there is the county of Leavenworth also that still gets you that address. And the county is massive. It's 436 square miles. Let me show you what that looks like. Boom. So as you can see, this is quite a bit bigger than the city of Leavenworth, right? So there's the whole county, and here's the little city of Leavenworth at 26 miles. So there is a lot going on. So sometimes when we talk about Leavenworth, we're talking about the little city. Sometimes when we talk about Leavenworth, we're talking about the whole county. So just depending, just kind of take that with a grain of salt as we're going through this. That there's a lot of places that you can live within Leavenworth. If there's a lot of things that kind of check the box for you without being in that little 24 square mile spot in Leavenworth. So get that out of the way right now. All right, so back to Leavenworth right here. So as you're coming in from Missouri, you would be coming down one of these roads. We kind of talked about the traffic on that and kind of the country roads and the country road vibe and how you can get to some slowdowns. But really your best way in is 7 Highway. This is going to come right off of I-70. I-70 is a major highway system that runs right through the center of Kansas City, east to west. It goes coast to coast. And that is right here. So big highway. In fact, right here is going to be your major shopping district. So if you're wanting to get out of Leavenworth and kind of do some nightlife stuff, go maybe see a show, go see a movie, go out to dinner. There is a professional sporting Kansas City or soccer team is right in here. We also have the Speedway if you want to go catch a Nascar race or a high octane truck race or whatever they race out there, all kinds of stuff. It pulls quite a crowd. In fact, you can hear it a lot of times from different places in the city. Those engines ramped up and running pretty far out. It's pretty cool. But anyway, you got a lot going on right here is kind of your main hub. You're probably 15 to 20 minutes out of Leavenworth to get down to this major kind of hub of stuff to do, major shopping outlets, restaurants, all that kind of fun stuff. So there really is a lot going on there. And then if you want even more nightlife and activity, you're on I-70, which is the main artery that runs right into Kansas City for your bigger shows, your 5-star dining, all that kind of stuff. So, Leavenworth as a whole, although their downtown area is pretty good size. You've got 28 blocks of let's go ahead and zoom in on that. So there's a lot going on right down there. All right, so as we zoom down in onto Leavenworth's downtown, you can see we've got a pretty lively downtown area. Lots of shops right here, about 4th Street and Cherokee, Shawnee, Delaware. This is a pretty happening spot. You're gonna have over 28 blocks of shopping, restaurants, entertainment, just kind of the old downtowny vibe, all that good stuff. All the stuff you get down there and kind of stroll around. And I will point out there is a riverfront park, which is also kind of nice. So you can go down here, hit your pizzeria, get some Thai food. I mean, they've even got a Jamaican spot down here. So you got a massive variety of food. You definitely aren't going to go hungry. There's Irish pubs, all kinds of fun stuff. So you're going to have plenty of fun going down there. And there's your pub right there. Going down there and just trying all these restaurants over time. But there is a really nice riverfront park. Sometimes I'll switch to this view because you can get a little better idea of what's going on. Right down here, there's parking right by the railroad tracks. This is one of those towns with a nice little railroad running through it too. So it's still active, so you'll hear a train come by every once in a while. Just kind of adds to it. But nice walking trails right along the river. And while you're down there walking along the river, you can see this bridge. There's kind of a cool iconic bridge that goes across the river right there. And like I said earlier, this is kind of all starts going up the hill as you go west into Leavenworth. So it kind of just lays out and just continues to go up. So you kind of have that bluff feel as you kind of get out of town, and just kind of that nice little valley town. We don't really have valleys and mountains out here, but if we did, this would kind of be the vibe coming right off the river in the town. So a lot of fun stuff you can do right here in the downtown area, between the restaurants, the bars, the coffee shops, the bakeries. With the history out here, a lot of this has some haunted stuff, and you can go find news reports on the bakery down there. Has been in the news several times for her hauntings. She's in there, at like 5 in the morning getting stuff ready for the day. So she's in there when it's quiet and nobody's up and moving around, and we'll hear doors shut. Weird things will happen. There's also some old underground tunnels that used to go back and forth to the river and back, because as you can imagine, a lot of people are getting off the boats here. Kansas City's kind of that last stop on the river as people are going west, and then it just kind of goes north from there. So the folks that wanted to go west would get off in the Kansas City area and start heading that direction. So a lot of history here, a lot of rich history. And a lot of little quirky things too. I mean, as you can see right here, there's a carousel museum. Have you ever been to a carousel museum? I never have. It's not really my thing, but lots of little quirky things that you can discover right here in Leavenworth, and you know, just something to point out. So you've got that whole downtown area. It's the oldest town in Kansas, right? So you're gonna have a lot of old houses right in here. So it's kind of hit or miss. I'd say up in here, you're gonna find streets that are just beautiful with old colonial historical homes. In fact, there's a lot of plaques still in front of some of the homes that are right around this downtown area. Just beautiful. And if you're into that, it's great. I love keeping that rich history alive. However, they come with a lot of maintenance. So if you've got one that's been kept up on over the years, you know, if you check out our vlog, we kind of look at some of these homes so you can see what they look like on the inside. Absolutely stunning and beautiful. Some of the best. But if you get into something like that, you just need to know maintenance involved, because you have plaster, knob and tube, and all kinds of wacky stuff that was normal back then, but now nobody knows how to do that stuff. So there's a couple local people that kind of pride themselves in the old school craftsmanship stuff and can help you with those things, but it can become a money pit. So on those, we highly recommend you inspect the heck out of them, know exactly what you're getting into. But anyway, they're super cool, super walkable to downtown. So we do have plenty of that in Leavenworth. And then if you want to get over here onto kind of the northwest side, we've got some cool things going on over here. This is kind of that post-war 1950s, a lot of ranches, maybe some splits, stuff that's more modern, sheetrock and all the stuff most of us are used to. And this is kind of a cool neighborhood too. It's laid out with parks and baseball fields. When I drive through this area, I get that feeling of like Sandlot, the movie, if that rings any bells for you, where you can, you know, just a nice, you can see that here we've got a nice grid of streets and houses. So fit a lot of houses in here efficiently. And then in between all that is baseball fields. There'll be like little grocery stores that were residential at one point and now have become zoned to where they can have a little grocery store or a little bodega, and then even like little pubs and stuff that were houses that are now. So it's just kind of a cool little vibe. There's a skate park that's fun for the kids. So this is really kind of a cool neighborhood in my opinion. If you've got a young family and you want to be close to schools, like the elementary schools in the neighborhood, you want to be close to some baseball where you can just kind of let the kids go out and play if you're comfortable with that, if they, you know, got some friends. But this is really kind of a cool spot, and it's kind of in its own little secluded area. So touch on that, that's a good spot. And then with Leavenworth, you know, we've got the Leavenworth, the city area, but then we've also got the county. So there are lots of options as you move outside of Leavenworth, the city, to get out in acreage properties, lots of acreage properties. So let's go to this view, just so you can see that, you know, I've got the grid. This is pretty much mostly housing. There is some new construction areas down in here too, or newer homes. And then as we get out and go south, you're gonna be, Lansing is in Leavenworth County. It's kind of another sizable city that's continuing to grow. But even all the way out here, as you can see, we've got just nothing but farmland. I mean, I don't even know if there's maybe 2 houses in that right there. So there is lots of acreage opportunities that are going to be available if that's something you're into. So a lot of people that we help that are moving to Leavenworth are either military or they're wanting to get out that direction, and maybe they're retired veterans, because the veterans do have access to the base, and on that base is a grocery store, doctors, all kinds of options, right? So if you are a retired vet and you get all those benefits that come with being a veteran, and you still have access to the base, and you know, you can save quite a bit of money by living out here in the country and getting what you want, you know, your little piece of God's country, and then still having access to all the things that the base has to offer close by. But anyway, lots of neighborhoods out there, lots to choose from. Just you don't have to live downtown in this little city to get the Leavenworth experience. You've got lots and lots of space that still keep you in that address, and I just want to point that out because it's one of the bigger counties in the area. So something worth noting. All right, so with Leavenworth, we talk about this too in our vlog a little bit. It's 50% rent, 50% owned. So usually we would like to see things tilt a little higher towards home ownership, because that's a little more pride in the community, pride of ownership. But with this, I think you got to give a little bit of grace, because the military's coming in and they're going to be, you know, great folks with families that made America what it is today, you know. But they're going to be coming in. Kids are going to be making friends with these kids. If you're staying a long time, if you're military, then you already know how it goes. Kids make friends for a couple years and then off to the next spot. So a lot of friendships, got to be quick to make friends. And then now, you know, with technology, you can still maintain those relationships. I mean, I went through a move recently myself, born and raised in the Kansas City area for over 40 years, but I did take 3 years and moved out to the West Coast to doing a little adventure move with my family and experience something different. And I will say that the friends that my kids made out there still continue when we moved back to Kansas City because of all that technology. So it's been great. In fact, a lot of their good friends still come to visit us, and then we'll ship the kids out back to Oregon for every summer for a couple weeks. We've got them going both ways. So it's actually been a really cool thing and a great experience for us. But just something you can, if you have kids, that's, you know, what's going to be happening right here in Leavenworth. But besides that, I can't say anything negative other than, you know, what we just touched on. Let's see, what else can we talk about a little bit about Leavenworth? There is this that I like to pull up, the schools out there. So Leavenworth right here in the city has highly rated schools. They're coming in at A-rated schools. But when you get out into the county, and we're mixing and matching the county, and that they're going to, it's going to be mix and match. As you get further away from Leavenworth, the ratings are going to go down a little bit. But then Lansing's going to have a nice little patch of schools too. So I'm going to pull up this little graph just so I can show this to you. But you can see you've got in the north, right around the downtown area, and some of these are going to be on the military base side. Actually, these three are. We've got AAA, we've got BB, and then some C's. And then we get down here towards Lansing, we got A and B's. So when you mix it all together, you've got, it's coming in right at that B to A. But you do have lots of options. There's also several private school options that are available. So that's kind of what you have going on with the schools. If schools are super important to you, I definitely recommend hopping on like reach.com or greatschools.org and kind of diving into some of those details. But overall, for Leavenworth has done a good job kind of having pretty decent rated schools kind of as they've grown on their own out there on the northwest side of Kansas City. All right, so the number one thing that people probably think about when they think about Leavenworth is prisons. In fact, Leavenworth has the federal penitentiary. I was just watching a movie that had Tom Cruise in it on Netflix like, I don't know, a week ago. And they're out in the desert, like getting ready to raid some Egyptian temple and steal some diamonds or something. And they're like, hey, we better not do that. We're gonna end up in Leavenworth. So you'll hear Leavenworth in every movie that mentions a prison. All these prison movies, I hear it all the time. And it's kind of weird because you hear it from people. I've got friends in England that have mentioned it to me, and I live right next to Leavenworth. So anyway, it is an iconic prison. And in fact, when I was a kid, my grandpa would always say when I'd do something wrong, he'd be like, you better watch out, you're gonna end up in the pen. And I never gave it a whole lot of thought back then, but it was always in the back of the mind. So anyway, I haven't ended up there. So far, so good. But it is massive. And in fact, there is 5 prisons or correction facilities, maybe even more if you count some of the stuff on the fort side in Leavenworth. So I don't know why it's such a hub for prisons, but I guess, you know, oldest city in the world, you got, or oldest city in Kansas. Better watch out what I'm doing here. Oldest city in Kansas, you got to probably put the bad people somewhere. So I guess that's probably how it started, but it is massive. In our vlog, I get some video driving by it. In fact, you can see it as you're driving right down 92 highway. As you're coming in or going out or whatever, it's basically, you'll pass the entrance to the base first, which is that, and then basically on this little piece of ground is all the Fort Leavenworth Penitentiary. In fact, let's see if we can zoom in and just get a good look at it, because it is quite the structure. I mean, it almost looks like it's bigger than the White House. Like you go driving by it and just the building here on the front, it's like a castle. It is incredible. This thing just looks, it's super impressive. Never been in to see any more of it. I've just seen this as you're driving by the street, but it is quite a structure. Looks like they've got some tennis courts, but this is razor wire after razor wire, rows and rows of it. Now, we never hear anything on the news about people escaping or anything like that, so that would be the least of my concerns if considering Leavenworth my home, is that you're gonna have a prison break. But it is just interesting. I guess anything's possible. But yeah, all this facility right here is geared towards prisoners. And then if you, let me zoom out and we'll just type in prisons just to show you what else pops up out in this area. Prisons. You can see that in the county of Leavenworth, we've got, there's the state penitentiary, county jail, corrections. So I don't know what it is, but Leavenworth has attracted all the bad folks. And in fact, when you look at the crime graphs, in our vlog, we talk a little bit about this. Leavenworth does have higher crime stats. Now, I live in the KC metro area. I don't hear a lot of, you would think it'd be on the news all the time for the way the crime graph shows. So I don't know if some of these stats might be skewed because you've got all these bad guys that are living in jail. I don't know if they're considered citizens and they get thrown into the polls or not, because that would make a lot of sense. If you've got a concentration of crime causers and they all are in Leavenworth, and that would make a huge sense to why those numbers are kind of skewed. It just seems kind of odd to me, but anyway, I've done a lot of research on that and kind of asked around here in the last couple weeks as I've looked into the crime rates, and I haven't got a straight answer on that. But definitely something to consider. We'll ask around a little more. And in fact, if you live in Leavenworth and you're watching this and you want to pipe in and comment and tell me what your thoughts are on crime, I'd love to kind of get your take. And then also, I think other people considering Leavenworth would like to hear too. And I know that's a big difference, right? If I live right downtown, there is some little rough streets and pockets where you can just tell the houses are dilapidated and people have let stuff go. I'm sure you're going to get more higher crime ratings there. So just in general, a lot of this stuff that's out in the country, I wouldn't worry about anything out there at all. And then when you get down here around that major hub activity area, everything's fine, in my opinion. I walk around all over there at night with my kids when we're down here around the Legend shopping area. So lots of fun stuff to do. But all in all, Leavenworth does offer some of the best prices in Kansas City. If price is a thing and you're really trying to get out of wherever you're at and looking for a super affordable place, which we're seeing right now in we're getting a lot of people that are coming. There's 200 to 400 people any given week coming to Kansas City, and they're for all different reasons. But we'll see people from Florida, we'll see people from Chicago, just some of the people getting out of these California, Hawaii, getting out of these big expensive taxing states and coming here because more people can work remote. And if you can work remote and you can cut your expenses in half, or even maybe your living expenses in half, or even maybe down by a fourth or whatever, then why not, right? Why not stack a little more cheddar and get to retire earlier, or take more vacations, just have more money in the bank to invest? And anyway, so that's what we're seeing a lot of now. So whether Leavenworth is right for you or not, that's why we make these videos, just to touch on all the areas and kind of what they all have to offer. But best is just to have that conversation with you about your goals. Usually if one of these areas catches your eye, we can ask a few questions to find out what you like about it. Maybe give you a couple other cities or suburbs that are similar to that, so you can have something to compare to. And then, that's what we find. People usually will make a choice. It just makes it easier to have options. So anyway, this is a super affordable place. I think the average price in Leavenworth was coming in under $200,000 in the last 12 months. And then as you get out into this, to the city, or to the county, it was a little bit over that, because of course we're throwing acreages and all that kind of stuff in. So still super affordable. There's still $400,000 houses there too, but a lot of stuff under $200,000 that you can find in Leavenworth and even outside of Leavenworth. And you get into some of like Lansing and some of these other little small towns inside the county that are going to offer a lot of amenities. This is up and coming right here in Lansing. They've had a lot of modern built up stuff. The employers here, you've got like Hallmarks down here that employs a lot of people. The base, of course, is probably your major employer with over 4,000 people that it employs, and they've got their airport. And what else? You've got Veterans Affairs, like all things VA are going to be in Leavenworth. So if you got military, you have products you want to sell to the military, all that kind of stuff, Leavenworth is a great spot for that. There's a nice Walmart down here on the south side too that employs a lot of people, and the penitentiaries, right? So if you're into corrections facilities, in fact, I have a client that I'm not even sure which one he works at, if he's at the federal pen or one of these other correction facilities, but he's chosen to live, him and his family, they live in Platte City, which is one of the closer cities on the Missouri side. And we'll also see, while we're talking about Platte City, a lot of the officers that are coming in, usually the higher ranking ones, we'll see that are coming in to further their education. I have some rental properties in Platte City because it's a great little peaceful, quiet town, not too far from me, but a lot of times I'll rent to military personnel, and it's great. I love it. They take great care of the property. So anytime that I have an opportunity to do that, I try to help them out and give them a good place to call home for a couple of years while they're getting their education. But we'll see a lot of people do that are working over here that want to live on the Missouri side for whatever reason. Maybe they want to be closer to downtown, maybe it's the airport, whatever the reason may be. Maybe they just, whatever, lots of reasons. School districts are a little bit better over here on the Platte County side. Not much, but a little bit better. You get A+ and you get some A's over here and B's. So that might be another reason to look at our Platte. We have a vlog on Platte City as well that'll put you close to this area with a little better schools, but then of course cost of living and the cost of homes and all that stuff is going to go up as well. So that's kind of what we find. But yeah, he lives right there with his family, goes to work as a correction guard. I don't know exactly what he does, but so we'll see that too. And this is also, if you're an investor, a great place to invest. As this Kansas City continues to grow north and expand, Platte City's kind of next in line, as you can see, for kind of a boom. It's got a lot of room to expand and grow, so it's high on my list. But anyway, I digress. That is, I think we've been chatting long enough about Leavenworth. I kind of think you get the idea. Like I said, it's just all about your goals. We love to chat with you guys about what's important to you, what you like or don't like about this town. If you have any other questions about it, please let me know, and we'll just end on, we're right here in the middle, right smack in the middle of the USA. It's a great spot for technology companies. In fact, Meta, guess what, I'm still talking about this. Meta, or Facebook, has put their new plant right here, which is just east of Platte City. So it's going to attract a lot of people. And then down here in the south, we have a new Panasonic plant coming into town. It's supposed to be like a $4 billion plant and have 4,000 new people that are going to be relocating to this area. So there is going to be a lot of folks shopping probably up in this area, and down, that dot's a little far south, but over here coming in as these big businesses attract a lot of people. So if maybe you're one of those people that work for Panasonic or think you're gonna be, just keep an eye on these videos. We got DeSoto down here, and Smithville up here is where the Facebook plant is. So just a lot going on in Kansas City right now. We're excited about it. And we're kind of that technology hub. They're calling us the Silicon Prairie out here because Google laid a lot of fiber back in the beginning to start. So a lot of cool things going for Kansas City. I could talk all day, but you're probably sick of it. You don't want to listen to me and look at this map any longer. But yeah, just put your questions, put your comments. Let us know how we can help. Most of all, it's most important just to reach out when you're ready to talk turkey, so we can chat with you about your goals and really help pinpoint that and save you a lot of time to get you where you want to be and help you find your next neighborhood. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And remember, you got a friend in the business. See you on the next one.